Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. I've got an attachment for my Bambu Lab A1 3D printer. It just came in the mail today. I thought we'd take it out of the box, put it together, get it on the printer. You'll see what it is here. I'll show you. I've been using the printer quite a bit. Actually, it's over there running right now. So this is the AMS Lite. It's a multi-spool holder for the A1 printer. I think when I originally talked about this printer a month or so ago, I wasn't contemplating, printing in multiple colors or using multiple filaments. But the more I look into it, learn a little bit more about the capabilities of this printer, and seems like the thing to do. I'm actually, thinking that having multiple spools is actually beneficial, because you can, as I understand it, if you run out of filament, it can switch to another spool of filament. And I've had that concern. I've got several spools with just a little bit of filament on them, and it seems like a hassle to wait for it to run out of filament and then change it. So I'm hoping that this will solve that problem. So it's holds 4 spools. It only fits one way. I would actually like to mount this on top of my printer. And I think there's an attachment that I can print that will allow me to mount it on top of my printer. I ordered some refill filament because I printed these reusable spools, and it's much cheaper to buy the filament this way than it is to buy it on a spool. I've printed on this A1 4 of these so far. I'm actually printing another one right now. I've got half of it printed, the second half is printing. So go ahead and open these. All right, so on here, let's see, there's supposed to be a notch. There's a little notch there. And there's a little notch on the spool here. Okay, so that goes into place. Put it together and twist it, and it locks. Then you can cut these strips. They warn you not to cut these strips until you've got it on the spool. I wound up ordering some additional filament, and you know, this is not sponsored or anything by Bambu Lab, but I think I like the idea of these reusable spools. One, certainly reduces waste. There we go. The other thing it does is when you buy it this way, as refill, it's substantially less expensive. I have been buying Hatchbox filaments when I had my previous printer, and I had several spools of it, PLA, left over, and that's what I've been using. It's what I used to print these spools. Halloween is approaching, so that's the purpose behind the orange. Try some test prints with that. But so far with the A1, I'm really happy with the print quality. I can't imagine. I mean, I printed these spools. I've printed, you know, a number of other things. Everything's been perfect, and I'm basically using the software defaults. I will tell you the one thing that I do like about this, and I don't know if I don't have experience with any other brand of 3D printer, so I don't know if this is unique to Bambu Lab or not, but I do like the integration between their Maker World and the slicing software, the Bambu Lab slicing software. It's excellent software, and you can go into Maker World and pick an item and import it into the slicer. I mean, there's a button that says import into Bambu Studio, and it works great. And the Bambu Studio has all the details, configuration details that you might need. It looks like pretty good software. I'm just scratching the surface of it, but it's very intuitive, and I've had zero issues with it. You do need to select the right printer. It does support all the Bambu Lab printers, and if you don't have the right printer selected, when you slice it, it may not work on your printer, or if you have the wrong nozzle selected or something. All right, so I'm in makerworld.com. I'm looking at the models. I searched on A1, the AMS Lite top mount for the A1 printer, and we're going to open it in Bambu Studio. So it's loading the files. It's actually 2 plates worth of parts. We're using a Bambu Lab A1, the 0.4 nozzle, which is what comes with it. We're using the textured PEI plate. And I'm going to change the color to, doesn't really matter, to gray. I think that's what I'm going to use. Doesn't matter. Since this file is set up to use 2 different filaments, and I don't want to do that, I want to just do 1 filament, and go down here to the components and look at the filament that's specified, And we can see here we have filament. Let's see, change filament to filament 1, and then this one, do the same thing, change filament to filament 1. So that'll all use filament 1. That's plate 1. Plate 2 is all filament 1 anyway. Okay. So back to plate 1. Let's go ahead and slice plate 1. Two hundred and 212 grams, 7 hours and 55 minutes, so 8 hours. All right. So let's export that file. And we're going to put this one as one color. Okay. All right, we'll go to the other plate. Slicing plate 2. Okay. This one is going to use 349, almost 350 grams. So 350 plus, what was it, 212, 562 grams. That's just a little bit over a pound. Well, 562, no, that's a pound and a quarter. 1,000 grams is a kilogram, which is what's on a roll of filament. All right. So I'm going to export the slice files. Export all slice files. The second plate takes 9 hours. So the first one takes 7 hours. This one takes 10 hours to print. I'll load a new spool of filament and let this run overnight. All right, I'm waiting for the other half of this spool to print. I do have 2 more completed spools. This would be the 5th one. And I mean, the print quality on here is excellent. And this is Hatchbox PLA. I just picked generic PLA as the filament. Let's walk over and look at the printer for a minute. I mean, it moves so quickly. I mean, the print speed is pretty fast. I did print the little poop box, so as it cleans the nozzle or changes filaments, it'll eject it, and this will catch the little clumps of filament, rejected filament. So that was another print. Download off of Maker World. So I'm running low on filament here, and this is just an example of what happens when you get a small remainder on a spool. Do you have enough to finish the print? Now the studio software tells you how many grams of filament are going to be required to complete the print. So if you weighed your spool and knew what it weighed, then you weighed the empty spool, and then you weighed the full, what you have left of the spool, you could calculate how many grams of filament you have left. I'm hoping with this multi-spool holder, and I do believe they do advertise it as having enough, being able to switch between spools when you run out of one spool, switching to another one. So that's one of the advantages that I'm looking for on this accessory. All right, so here we are back at the printer a couple hours later, and you can see it's finishing up the spool. I think this particular model takes, I think it said 3 hours to print. There's a lot of dense infill for strength. We'll let this finish. Well, I just ran out of filament. So all the filament that's left is in this tube. Let's hope it finishes before the filaments run out. Let's see. Looks like it's got 2 minutes left. I don't know. This could be a problem. One minute. I might just luck out here. Here's the filament, is right here in the tube. Oh, that's amazing. It finished. So there's about, I don't know, less than a foot of filament left in this tube. And the spool's empty. So that's pretty effective use of materials. All right, there's two ways to do this. You can either let the plate cool down and this will just come loose because it's stuck to the plate right now. Or you can peel up the plate. It's magnetic. Flex the plate a little, and that takes it off the plate. It's printing this little tab each time, but I don't know what it's for. I don't know. I don't know what that tab is for. Alright, so I'm going to hit OK down here. Alright, so we'll let that cool off. So this is what just came off the printer. It kind of clicks into place. So all right, I've got 2 more over there on the shelf, so I've got a total of 5 printed. I ordered most of the filaments. I ordered a filament last night, 10 refills. And if you order, and this, I'm not, shilling for Bambu Lab in terms of filament. I don't care, where you get filament, but it's like $13.99, $14 a spool if you buy it as refills and you buy 10. And it's like $17 or $20 or even more if you buy, one on a spool and you buy a couple. So it's a lot more expensive to buy it. The more you buy, they basically give you volume discounts. That's what that is. All right, so let's change out the spool, the filament. So this is just another spool of PLA. This is Hatchbox brand. And I've had this for a couple of years. I was using this with my 3D printer that I had a couple of years ago. It was Monoprice Mini is what that one was. All right, I'm going to cut the filament to get a clean end. And since there's still some filament in the tube. All right, so let's unload. Heat the nozzle. So it just went over here. Use this pin to press on this arm to cut the filament. Please remove the filament from the extruder. All right, so we got this is what was left of the filament. All right, so now the screen down here is saying, whoops, load. Pushing the filament through this tube. Got that pushed in as far as it'll go. Waiting for some white filament to come out. I've got it pushed in. So it's still extruding some black filament. Okay, now it's starting to turn light gray. Keep hitting retry until the filament turns, it's being extruded in here. You can see it turns white. Try one more time here. All right, so down here on the screen it's saying, please observe the nozzle. If the filament has been extruded, tap done. If it is not, please hit the filament forward slightly and press tap, retry. So which is what I've been doing. So it's done now. So now it's purging old filament. Perhaps didn't need to wait till it turned white to do that. So there's right. Back down on the interface. So we've got 2 files. We'll go ahead and do, let's see, this is the second one. It takes longer, so we're going to print this one first. It says enabling traditional time-lapse might lead to defects. Please enable it as needed. So I've got time-lapse turned on, and we'll hit print. So the nozzle's heating. It's going to go up to whatever it is, 200 and some degrees Celsius. And I think it operates between 210 and 250, something like that. So when it gets there, the bed is hot, so I can feel that it's heated up already. It's 58 degrees C. All right, we'll come back tomorrow and see what happens. Give you a little update here. This is the second plate printing. So this is mid-morning the next day. I put this on this morning earlier. Lab version of this attachment, the bracket, includes diagonal supports for the vertical arms or the vertical members. So, all right, we're gonna have to let this print. I started about 7:30 this morning. It's, what is it? It's quarter to 11. I think this has, I don't know whether this is the 7-hour one. I think that's what it is. Plate 1. And so we'll let it print, we'll come back. The second plate has finished printing and it's cooled down, so the parts come right off. There's, a bit of support material here. Well, that just came right off. Supports here. Supports for the holes. All right, we'll take this over the table and clean this up. I mean, there's almost no... The surface of this is so smooth, you can just barely feel the lines, the layers. Nice job. All right, so these are the two braces for the frame, and these were the parts that were printed on the first plate that we printed. So that snaps into there, that snaps into there, and there's screws. I did buy the screw kit. It was just like a couple bucks. I just finished attaching the Z-axis braces. So they were on the first print, so there's a couple screws going to the column. There's C-clamps around the columns that screw into the bracket. And so that stiffens the bracket. It fits over the bottom of the bed, notched out here. So that was pretty simple to do. A little tedious with the small screws, but no problem with that. The other parts are assembled here. And if you want to see any detail on the assembly, there's a good video tutorial on Maker World where I downloaded this. There's a link to a tutorial. There's just a couple of screws in here to put that hinge together. There's a thumb screw, and of course that screws to the AMS Lite itself. And then there's a latch here which snaps closed around this upper rail. So I'm going to take this spool off, and we'll mount this one and put the screws into the AMS. It says to mount it with spools 3 and 4 facing on this way. I have to say this printed bracket is quite accurate. I mean, everything lines up. Everything lined up fine. All right, I'll give you a little update here. I downloaded a multicolor file from the Maker World and sliced it into Bambu Studio. And I've got 4 spools of filament on here. White, 2 spools of white, and 1 of black and 1 of orange. So, running this test, it looks like everything's working perfectly. Mounting the spools and feeding the filament through these Bowden tubes is super easy. Plugged all 4 of them in. As it turns out, I was trying to figure out which spool to put into which hole in the top here of the hot end, the extruder head. And it doesn't matter because it feeds it from the AMS. There's a motor in here which pushes the filament. So you just tell it what color filament is in each position, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you want to change filaments, it cuts it in the head, extrudes the remainder, and pushes it from the proper spool here into the head. So it doesn't matter which of the 4 openings you put which color in. It's all controlled up here, which I did not understand that at first. This will be a little light box. This is the front face of it. It's printing face down. After it prints this face, a couple millimeters thick, I suppose, then it will print a wall, a 2-inch tall wall, black, all the way around it. and then a separate plate will print a back plate, which will fit over this. And there'll be a 2-inch space between this front plate and the back plate. The hole in the back plate, you can put a light in and light it up. So I just picked this because it was the colors, it had the colors which I happened to have on hand. So my other shipment of filament hasn't come in yet, so I have limited colors available: white, black. I think I have some gold and silver silk, and I did get this orange last week. So working with what I have. Anyway, so I mean, overall, I have to say that this A1 printer is pretty nice. I've had absolutely beautiful results from all of the prints. Mounting the automatic material system, AMS, automatic material system Lite, the version for this machine, was super easy. Printing the mount on top saves tabletop space. There have been plenty of reviews of this printer on YouTube, and I'm no expert on 3D printing, and if you want technical details, I would refer you to some of the other videos. The one I looked at last night showed no difference between print quality with the spools on top versus the spools off to the side. The concern would be flexing of the Z-axis, but the braces on the back, I think, take care of that. So, I mean, you can see that it is moving a little bit as it prints. Or maybe you can't see it. I mean, the top of the spool assembly, the AMS, it moves a little bit, but that apparently does not affect the print quality at all. And some folks on YouTube have done tests to compare. All right, so I'll make one other comment about this A1. Why would you do an A1 versus any of the other printers? As far as other brands, I can't speak to any other brands. This one has been pretty highly rated on YouTube by various channels that specialize in 3D printing. So I took their advice based on that. And it is a low price entry. I paid $339 for the printer. It was on sale, normally $399. It was on sale. And then the AMS Lite was $250. So for $600, it's, I think, a pretty capable machine. I do believe they sell it as a combo for like $559. I think that's right. So you can get the combination, and if you're thinking about an A1, I would suggest going ahead and buying the combo and getting the AMS Lite, the automatic material system, with it. Like me, I bought it without thinking I wanted to do multicolor printing or multi-filament printing. That's a short-lived and maybe short-sighted decision, because after looking at what's available and what the capabilities are, it's enticing to go to multi-filament or multicolor printing. The technology has really been improved over the past 5 years since I had my last 3D printer. What a difference. It is changing color and spitting out some filament. All right, so this is the completed print. Now there's one more piece, and that's a back, which is just a flat black panel that will go on the back of this, as a hole in it, so you can put a light inside. So you can imagine this standing up, you know, with a light behind it as a Halloween decoration. So it prints beautifully. It proves out the color changing capability of the A1, and this is the amount of scrap filament, which, you know, is really not that much. So overall it works as claimed. Okay, that's going to wrap up this video on the A1 and the AMS Lite, the automatic materials system version designed for the A1 printer. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. I'm not an expert, but I am happy with this printer. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.